Hi, session number 7 of EaganMatrix programming for the Haken Continuum. Today I think we'll talk about pedals. Now when I first got the Continuum and opened it up, once you start playing that surface, you don't think about pedals for a while, but then I looked on the side and saw these jacks that were open and connected up some pedals, and lo and behold, some worked and some did not. So the first thing we need to talk about is the fact that the Continuum appears to be optimized to use Yamaha pedals. Now I connected up some switched pedals that I have from Roland, and they seem to work in switched mode, but not in continuous mode. I also connected up some continuous pedals that I had, and those didn't work either. So I went out and purchased an FC7 pedal by Yamaha, which the manual says is fully supported, and it certainly is. It works great. So if you haven't purchased any pedals yet, that's the one to buy for your, push down continuous pedal. Switch pedals like the piano, sustain pedal, are likely going to work, but you'll have to test that out to be safe. Now if we look at the editor, on the right hand side you'll see a section for pedals. There's two pedal jacks, and you can plug any kind of pedal in either one and they'll be self-sensed, and the editor will put up a little icon indicating what kind of pedal it detected. This little square pedal is the switched pedal by Yamaha. Yamaha also has a piano-like sustain pedal that looks kind of like that. In fact, if I take this Roland pedal and put it in continuous mode, you'll see that the piano-like pedal appears. However, in this mode, this pedal doesn't work, so I'll put it back. The Yamaha pedals, of course, do work. So what I have connected right now are two switched pedals, and when I press them down, let me press the sustain pedal, and we'll go here to look at the sustain rotary, and you can see that's being used. Let's bring up something we can test it with, our trusty sine wave. So if I press a key and the sustain, and then I lift up, the sustain continues obviously, and I can actually press another. So, it works kind of like a piano sustain, only fully sustained forever here. Now, the second pedal is a sostenuto, and that one, if it's connected, if I trigger it, you'll see the sostenuto 1 pedal is activated. I can actually set the first pedal for sostenuto as well. If I want two sostenutos, we'll see that in a second. But if I press the sostenuto pedal, so now I can sustain the note with the sostenuto and then play some other notes, and those can be detached, kind of like a sostenuto pedal on a piano. Alright, that's all nice. The third kind of pedal, if I now disconnect one of these, I'll connect up my continuous pedal, and you'll see that appears, and now when I trigger that, I'm obviously, right now it's connected to sostenuto, but as you'll see, I can connect these pedals to different things. So let's go, and we'll leave the switch pedal on sustain, and in fact most of the patches that Ed Eagan creates keep the sustain pedal, since that's such a common pedal that would be used in a lot of patches. And the second pedal is very often changed to different functions, though you will see both of them changed in some of the presets. So let's click on there and see what we can do. We can set the pedal for either east, west, or north, south function, which I recently investigated, and that, if I just click that, you'll see in the left-hand side here, activates this east, west, north side wonderful function that allows me to trigger more than one barrel at a time in different ratios depending on how you set this thing. We'll look at that a little later. So one of the other things we can do is attach the gain, obviously. And this could be a very useful and common thing to do. So I can, use the pedal to control volume. Very common. I can set this so that I can control the input to the AES port. And we'll have a whole separate video on connecting up a theremin and seeing all the different kinds of things you can do by connecting up an audio input and manipulating it in various ways in the matrix. What else can we do here? We can set this so that some of the recirculators are triggered down here, so I can set to any one of those that I want. For my sustain and reverbs and things. Very important is I can set these things up so that they'll control a barrel. And we'll look at that in a second. What else can we do? I can also control a gen, right, which is like a barrel. I can set the normal sustain and sostenuto functions that we talked about. So if I wanted to set two sostenutos, I'll set one to sostenuto 1 and the other pedal to sostenuto 2. I can control an octave with this, the mono switch, and then round rates. So let's do something more along the lines of what you might want to do in your own patches, or even in a preset that's come up that you want to modify to give it enhanced functionality. So let's first off create a formula on our sine wave, right? And we'll just use A going from 0 to 1, because we're going to change the waveform now through a barrel. So we will create our barrel. A equals waveform. Okay, we've created our waveform on A, and now we want to attach that to our first barrel, range 0 to 1, stick A there, and now, as we've seen in the other sessions, if I change this value, I will change the waveform, and hence I'll change, the timbre of that sound. All right, that's all well and good. I can change that with the mouse here, or if I had, the MIDI Kenton control or Artura beat step control set up, I could change from that. Or if you've programmed an iPad through Lemur or something like that. But what we want to do here is connect up my pedal so that it controls this barrel. And that's very easy to do. I just go down here, I select the barrel that I've been using, and now when I trigger my pedal, you'll see, hey, look, no hands. I can do this while I'm playing and change my waveform. Nice. And if I'd had other barrels that I've created, I could do the same thing. Let's create one more. In fact, let's create a shape generator on B, and we'll put B here. We'll use our gate. We'll make B go from let's go times 10, so we can go 1 to I don't know, around 10 when we do that. All right, we have that created. Now let's create another formula, and we're going to modulate my frequency by that shape generator that we just created. So we will put our C formula here. we want that to be shape generator 1 that we've created. We can use a ramp up function there, and we'll just multiply whatever the base frequency we created from our shape generator. So we'll set that to 1. And when I press the keyboard now, obviously I'm triggering that frequency. Let's, though, take this B that we created as a constant, and let's create a barrel for that. So we'll go and create that. We'll say 2 equals frequency. Okay, so now we've created another barrel that will control the frequency of this shape generator. All right. It's set to 0 now, so obviously nothing's going to happen. All right, it's slower there. Getting faster. All right, let's just go here to our pedal, and we'll set that to 2 instead of the waveform. So now it will stick on whatever waveform we have, which is, you know, kind of siny triangle-y. And now when we play, I can speed up my waveform and slow it down as I move my pedal. Great. Okay, let's end this then by asking ourselves, what if we want the pedal to do both of these things at the same time? We have to go back now to the north-south indicator we saw before. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our continuous pedal to north-south, because we don't want to do east-west right now. We want to go in the direction that we're going here as we move the pedal, right? We want both the waveform and the frequency to move together, all right? Now, because if I set these both to 0 and then play, nothing's going to come out because I set my frequencies to 0, and that will multiply me out to 0, so nothing happens. So I'm going to start these two things off so that they'll be at a point where something's going to happen. Okay. Now, here's the way this works. I can set them both together to move in lockstep. And what I'll do is I'll first select the barrels that I want to have moving together. Oops. Let me go back and set them a little bit like that. And now when I hit on the PC, shift at my southmost direction, it will store the initial value that I set here. So I don't have to always go from min to max. I can, in fact, move the barrels that I'm manipulating here by just a small amount if I wanted to. And that's, in fact, what some of the presets do. Now what I'll do is what I want to do is move the frequency up so that when it gets about to midpoint, because I have a little mid selection I can set here. So I'll set that at mid. So now my frequency, as my frequency moves to mid, the waveform will stay at the waveform that it was on. But now when I want to go to the full north position, I'll want both of these things to go to their full value. Right? Now, if I wanted to, I could have had them both be on min, going both to max, but you'll see this is kind of nice. So as I engage the pedal, things will go back to 0, or the lowest point that I have here. It's not quite 0 when I go to min on the pedal. And as I move the pedal, you'll see the frequency kind of moves to about the midpoint, and the waveform isn't changing. And when we get to mid, now they'll both move together as I've set the parameters in the north-south indicator. So now when I play a note, I can go faster, but it will be on the same waveform until I get to about half. And then that waveform changes. There we go. Well, we started with a sine wave, but it certainly doesn't sound like that anymore. It sounds more like a nice helicopter-like effect. So let's do one more thing. We've been playing with the continuous pedal. Let's add a switched pedal into the mix here. Now, if you notice right now, the sustain pedal is a switched pedal. If I go to sustain, it has the values of 0 or max 127. So basically it's off or it's on. We're going to use that function but apply it to a barrel control. So let's create a new formula, D. We're going to assign that as a multiplier on the frequency of our shape generator. And D will set to, let's make it a kind of a large value, 100. We'll set that to 100. And I'm going to want to set this to a barrel. I'll use the 0 to 127 range barrel this time on 3. We'll go down here and edit and create my barrel equals shape generator mod, we'll call it. Okay, so we've created that barrel. Oh, and if I go in now, actually, I happen to know that underscore 45 gives me the icon for an on-off switch, which is going to be nice. Right. So now let's go through and we'll set, instead of the sustain pedal, we want to set that to our third barrel that we just created. And we're going to want to set this just to go 0 to 1. All right. Now, you can see when I press on the pedal, I get that nice switch triggered. It's either off or it's on. It's going to be 0, off, 1, on, and we'll make use of that. If we go back to our formula now, right, we are going to basically be 0 when this is up, since I'm multiplying times 100 times my value of the barrel, which is 0 in its off position. But I want the original sound to be there when I'm in this mode, and only when I trigger the pedal, the switch pedal down, I want something different to happen. I want my multiplier to come in. Well, one of the ways I can do that is to simply add a fixed value of 1 to y to this. So even though this is 0 when it's up, because I'm not using y for anything in this patch, y will always now be 1 as a multiplier to my original frequency. So there I have the pedal. It's not switched yet, and I can use my continuous pedal to do what I did before. But now, when with my other foot, I'll kick in the other pedal. Ooh, it's really increasing in frequency because I'm multiplying times 100 times. It's fast enough so that I'm actually taking that wah-wah effect and making it into a noticeable tone. So I can do all kinds of cool things now with 2 pedals. I can make them both switch to do certain things. Since I have a half a continuum, sometimes I like to put 2 switch pedals on it. Make one pedal have the whole thing go down an octave, the other pedal make it go up an octave, effectively turning my half a continuum almost into a whole continuum. Can do all sorts of wonderful things with pedals once you play around with them and just learn a few tricks like we've discussed here. So that's about all we want to talk about now. Next time we'll connect up a theremin to the AES input port and see all the different kinds of techniques I can use in the matrix to modify that input audio. That's it. Till the next time.